Hi, everybody. I'm Emily. I'm going to talk about the tarot in this video. And I'm going to talk about it from a very nerdy perspective. And I've been studying the philosophy of tarot for a while now, the origins of the tarot archetypes. Every single card in the deck has a very specific meaning. We're not going to go through all the meanings in this video because I want to talk about where this wisdom comes from, how it's morphed over time, and the different kinds of decks that you can use. So the first deck I'm going to talk about is the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. And this is the most common deck used these days. This deck was created around 1916, I think, by Rider and Waite. So Arthur Waite was a famous occult philosopher who wrote a book about the tarot. And at the time it came out, it was a little controversial. Some people didn't think of the tarot in the same way. But it's weird, isn't it, how in modern times this is the most common deck used. And it's probably because of the fabulous pictures and illustrations on each card. And they make it kind of easy to guess at the meanings for the novice and to kind of intuitively come up with the messages in any reading using these cards. But don't be fooled. These cards kind of changed the way tarot was thought of over hundreds and thousands of years before that deck was made. And each card has a very specific connotation and an archetype. So it makes you wonder in modern times about all these tarot decks that are available now with just completely wild drawings and depictions based on the creator's ideas of the tarot cards. And we have to be careful, in my opinion, not to stray from the original meanings of these cards because we want this wisdom to be preserved over time. So I read a book called The Sacred Tarot by Zain, and this deck goes with that book, The Brotherhood of Light Egyptian Tarot. I love this deck. You can get it on Amazon easily, or the Brotherhood of Light's website. I think it's light.org. Love them. And this is the deck. So you can see the cards are kind of different from the Rider-Waite deck. Let me find a card that, here we go. This one would be temperance in modern times, but temperance in the Egyptian deck is called the alchemist. So here we have the Empress and the Wheel of Fortune, known as the Wheel in the Egyptian tarot deck. So it's all a little different. I'm not going to go through every card in the deck, but the point is that this philosophy of tarot follows a different train of thought, a different line of thought. So if you're interested in learning about the history of tarot, which according to this book, The Sacred Tarot by Zain, it goes back thousands and thousands of years to the beginning of humanity, which is beyond what our recorded history can even tell us. Goes back to Atlantis. Doesn't say that in the book, but I deduced it. It at least goes back further than ancient Egypt. And this isn't a card game. It's not about divination even. We think it is now because a few hundred years ago in Europe, these cards were used as a form of divination, and it was preserved. These cards were preserved through the gypsies, which would use the cards to tell people's fortunes. But in fact, this is very ancient philosophy. It was like they were carrying around a book instead of a deck of cards that tells very deep messages about the truth of the universe and the soul. And isn't that silly that we've made it into a card game or a form of fortune telling? But actually, it's deep philosophy. You don't have to use a deck of cards to tell what's happening to you or find things out. You can actually just study it as if it's a philosophy book. To name a couple other titles I've been reading that you might be interested in, uh, The Tarot of the Bohemians by Papus, written also about 100 years ago. The Tarot by Manly P. Hall, which is a great book, and I highly recommend his deck of cards, the Knapp-Hall Tarot. This is a vintage reprint published in 1929. And these cards are really adorable, and they have great illustrations. Here we have the Knight of Wands. And this deck is what Manly P. Hall thought was a better representation of the tarot archetypes. It was kind of, if you read his book, The Tarot by Manly P. Hall, he explains that Rider-Waite kind of mutilated the meanings of these cards by changing the illustrations. So this is a great deck to use. You can get it at the Philosophical Research Society, prs.org. And another deck I have is the Tarot de Marseille, which is this one says it was made in 1930. The Tarot de Marseille is an older version of the tarot archetypes than Rider-Waite. So we have some beautiful depictions here, and it's more like medieval or Renaissance Europe style illustrations. And you might say that these cards preserve the original meanings of the tarot. We'll never really know. That's the great mystery of tarot. You may know through an exploration of this topic from your intuition, and your heart will tell you. But I don't think any of us can ever really know the original tarot archetypes and their meanings, because it's been lost through time. And I really hope that people stop mutilating and morphing these ideas into whatever they want them to be, because there is a great value in the tarot as a philosophy. And as long as we see it as a plaything or a way to communicate with spirit, which is not a bad thing to do, but as long as we only see it that way, as a means to an end or a way to serve ourselves instead of a doorway, a portal to a greater wisdom of the universe, then we have really lost the tarot as a great tool in soul evolution. So I hope this video helped and was interesting. If you would like a tarot reading with me, you can visit my website, wellnessoneness.com. And sometimes I also offer tarot workshops and masterclasses, so keep your eye on my website. Thank you.